What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to Battle on the Homefront TV. I'm at the Oklahoma Republican headquarters office. I want to thank Chairman David McLean for giving veterans a voice in Oklahoma. I have some good friends coming on today. Cody Kelly with some amazing nonprofits, Fallen Outdoors, All-American Bow Fishing League, doing some amazing things with veterans, and I'm happy to have him on. I also have Travis Johnson. He is the nonprofit architect, and he's helping veterans build nonprofits. Y'all stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Back on Battle on the Home Front. I'm with my friend Cody Kelly. He's got a double first and last name, and it's super confusing, y'all. But he's a good guy, man. He's doing amazing stuff with nonprofits. Not just nonprofits, but he works at the VA. And it's like you're giving back in every aspect you can in your life, man.
I mean,
it's awesome.
You kind of have to, because, I mean, it's not as charitable as other causes, you know, because we're all grown men and adults. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people don't look at it from that way, so we really have to put that foot forward and take care of each other.
100%. That is the battle on the home front, man. And you know, we fight over there and we come home and we don't have the resources, we don't have the camaraderie, we don't have that structure like we used to have, and people can find that and get that again in so many aspects of the nonprofits that you have and deal with. And not just that, but I think it's important. I mean, you're a veteran that works at the VA. I know you got so much respect for everybody that comes in there.
Yeah. I
mean, and that's super important. And when we talk to a veteran, we look at them a different way.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And I'm sure there's not probably good ones that work up there. I'm sure. I think we had that discussion earlier. There's bad apples in every profession, you know, but for the most part, we love what we used to do, and it's a part of us, and we want to help our brothers and sisters on the home front in every way we can. So that's...
Oh, yeah. And you can definitely see like a big transition whenever, you know, they're at the front desk talking to someone else and they don't feel like they're getting what they want. And then I kind of take them back. I'm like, hey, look, I get it. I work here. I'm a patient here. This just can't happen this way.
Right.
You know, it's out of our control. You know, no one's lying to you. Just we can't do that. You can kind of see their attitude change and they relax a little bit of, okay, well, he's telling me the truth.
For sure. We have a connection with each other that, you know, hey, listen, I'm battle, I got you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when a civilian's trying to tell you that stuff about your service connection stuff, you're just like, dude, come on. Like, you don't care. Yeah, you don't care. You get yours and go home at the end of the day. And there is some good ones, I'm sure, that work up there. But thank God Trump passed the VA accountability, because I'm sure that's getting them in shape up there.
Oh, yeah. It just provides... I think what helped it so much was it provided people with an alternative measure that made them happier. Yeah. And that's ultimately what we want in healthcare, is we want you to be happy with the service that you've gotten and be happy with the quality of service that you've gotten. And even though, you know, some areas might lack and some are great, but even if you're in a great area and you just don't like it, well, you shouldn't have to go there. You should be able to go somewhere where you're happy and comfortable and get great healthcare.
And that's great with Veterans Choice.
Yeah.
Right? The other thing Trump passed. And to be able to go to outside providers and have that option, and y'all are, so I'm guessing because of the Rona, y'all are backlogged and behind or short-staffed and all that.
We're backlogged months and months on stuff, because so there's a directive that we can only see a certain percentage of our normal patient load. Okay. So basically, I think right now we're at about 30 or 40% of our normal patient load. Yeah. So that other 60 to 70, they're just getting pushed back further and further and further. So a lot of people are taking advantage of being able to go out to their community right now.
So they go in there, sign up with y'all to go to a different location, to an outside provider?
Yep, and you don't even have to come in. You can do it over the phone. If you're trying to get into a certain clinic and they're backed up so many days, you can ask to be seen in the community, and they can press that consult through for you.
They don't get no better than that.
No.
If I don't have to go down to the VA, best believe that I will not go to the VA.
Oh, especially right now. It's a process getting through the building now. They're trying to restrict people of just coming in and hanging out.
Y'all have to wear masks in there?
Yes.
All the time?
All the time.
You have to wear a mask all day long?
Yep.
That's horrible.
I mean, right now, it's kind of a weird scenario. So they're trying to do the best that they can to carry everybody's safety. It's one of those things where does safety meet the right lines? Right. But they're doing everything they can to keep everybody safe, coordinated, and just trying to keep excess foot traffic out the door, which makes it better patient care, because, you know, you're not trying to rummage through the hallways. There's more people available to help. So for the people that can get in right now, it's a big improvement.
So I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, but so the people that go in there, right, that are dealing with respiratory issues from combat related stuff, are they making them wear masks in there, or? You
don't have to if you have a physical illness that requires you not to wear one.
You gotta pull your DD-214 out and
show
them, or?
No. You just, the people that have that illness, they know.
Right. Okay.
And they know it. They've reached out from those clinics and they've told them. They kind of get special permission because they need that extra airflow, and they can't lack O2, or they put them on O2 so that they can send them out to the rooms. Everybody else, for those of us, they prefer that we do. It's one of those things where someone's just going to yell at you in the hallway if you don't wear it.
Right.
But for just
still have to make you do push-ups.
Right. They should
knock them out. Knock them out.
I'd smoke a 60-year-old. But yeah, they're giving everybody the opportunity to really catch that at the front gate. So if it's an issue, they can just cut out right then. Yeah. But for the most part, it's gone pretty well.
That's awesome. So what you got out service connected for the active duty soldiers that are in right now. What's your best advice for them right now for when they get out and they transition back into civilian life? What would you tell them, and how would you help them?
A lot of things that guys run into, like myself, and I'm sure you as well. 80% of the guys that are out there, whenever you're working, you don't want to complain.
Right.
You just want to lock it up,
prideful,
get it over with.
I was horrible about it, man.
All those things just backtrack you. They set you back, because if you're not going and complaining about these issues, they're not going to get logged, and if they don't get logged, good luck getting anyone to do anything about it. But if you start now, just with your annual exam, my back hurts. Why does your back hurt? Well, this is what I do in the military. This is my job. That's why my back hurts. All that stuff's getting jotted down. So whenever that gets put in your record and you go to do your disability, they're going to look in your medical record and be like, well, yeah, of course he has this problem. He said it right here. 10 years ago he's been complaining about back problems. That's going to make that transition of getting your disability rating better coming out, because that's the best time for you to get it, because the military gives you a disability rating, and then the VA gives you a military or a VA rating, and they kind of combine those two and figure it out.
Yeah. And
that's the best time for you to get no hassle, no nothing. If you can get a high rating, then you're done.
Yeah.
But if you wait till it's a problem 10 years later, first you got to go back and prove that's what happened, and then once you proved it, then you're going to wait for them to do the paperwork. You're a year and a half out for something that bits and pieces just along the way. If your toenail hurts, hey man, I jacked up my toe. All right, cool. We're going to put that down in your medical record later. If you have problems with that toe, it's noted, and it makes that transition so much easier.
Yeah, I see. When I was active duty, I was infantry, and I loved my job. I loved training. I loved theater. I loved all of that. And even when we're in training back stateside on garrison, I hid injuries because I didn't want to not train. We were doing some super high speed cool stuff, and that's what I signed up for. It's what I wanted to do, and I hid that, and I'm regretting them things now. And I should have just went in there and said, hey, listen, I'm having this issue, and got it documented. So now it's an issue now, and I'm paying for it and not getting paid. Yep. And that's a bad deal all around.
That is so frustrating as you're going through the process, knowing specifically I hurt this Tuesday. I remember that day specifically. That's the day I messed up my shoulder. It's hurt ever since. Well, 10 years later, whenever you're trying to prove it, good luck.
Yeah.
You might know it happened.
Yeah.
But they're going to find every reason possible to be like, no, that's not our fault.
Yeah.
But, it happens more often than it should. But that's why I always tell people, while it's hurting, go get it documented, go get it taken care of. Because if you don't, it's going to be a headache later, and you're going to be so much more frustrated that you have to fight to prove what you know is fact.
Yeah. Well, we're about to go on commercial break, but I want to ask you real quick, man, before we go, I want to thank you very much for coming, man. We're friends and brothers, and I look forward to all the relationships we have down the road and being part of your nonprofits. But I wanted to ask you, what does that uniform mean to you, man, from when you wore it?
Everything. From after leaving high school, I played several different sports. I lost those friends that, you know, they were my home base. And then I never knew that transitioning into a uniform was that all over again. I had a team of people that were looking out for me instead of being over here by myself, you know, and just I come from several people in my family that have served, so it was really cool to follow in their shoes and really feel what it's like to contribute something greater.
I love it, man. My good friend Daryl Simmons, veteran, author, many titles.
I wear many hats.
Many hats.
Just none indoors.
You do shooting too, don't you?
I do shooting too. I'm an avid firearms enthusiast, and I'm a firearms instructor and coach. So
awesome.
I do every platform, every type of shooting you can imagine. And in fact, this Saturday I'm hosting the shootout at the Okie Dokie Corral, which is a multi-platform, multi-target match. Hopefully some people will come down and have a good time shooting at stuff.
Nice. You get a lot of veterans coming there to that?
A fair number of them. I learned a few years ago that there were a lot of vets in the local area to me that didn't want to go to civilian firearms instructors for certifications or training just because they were tired of how civilians handled firearms, and they were really having some trigger moments on the firing line with people who weren't really as safe and professional with their firearms as they should have been. So I ended up with a lot of vets coming through, just getting good instruction and good fellowship time with me. Yeah,
that recaps on my little interview I did with Cody Kelly last segment, and we were discussing that about how veterans feel more safe with other veterans, and we have that camaraderie and that brotherhood, and so you can relate a lot easier to them, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're dealing with guns, a lot of civilians just aren't as safe as they should have been taught to be.
For sure.
And so that's what I spend a good deal of my time doing, is just bringing them on board the safety train. Right. And teaching them not to, flash, not to
keep their finger off the trigger.
Yes.
All them good things, y'all. When y'all are posting pictures online with your deer, stop putting your finger in the trigger well.
Yes. If I had $1 for every time I told a civilian, don't put your finger on the trigger, keep your finger off the trigger. As a matter of fact, I do. Because they have to pay me for the instruction.
You know that if they seen what it looked like on the other end and somebody's was hit, they would understand a lot better to not have their finger on the trigger. If they had that concept and seen what a weapon can do to a human, they would understand a lot more.
They would indeed. But hopefully that's something that they don't have to see.
For sure.
Hopefully the sheepdogs in the community will do what needs to be done to keep everyday civilians from having to do that. But if they do, then my facility is a great place for them to come in and learn how to be a street patriot. Right. And that's a catalog that we're offering on a regular basis, and hopefully more people decide that they want to protect their rights and themselves and get on out there.
Yeah, they should be. So today is 9/10.
Yes.
Tomorrow is American history. It changed the world. It changed America. It changed a lot of young men and turned them into men in war because of what happened. Where were you at when 9/11 struck?
Okay, so I'm a pre-war service member. I actually enlisted before the war, not because we knew it was coming, just because it was Tuesday and I had nothing better to do.
Right.
So I was down along the Texas-Mexico border doing a training operation with the Border Patrol. My squadron, we flew UAVs, the drones, and so we were providing some overhead support to them. And actually on the period of darkness 9/9/9/10, we had a very productive evening. We caught a lot of bad people doing a lot of bad things coming across the Rio Grande. So on the evening of 9/10, we celebrated with a stand-down day, and my immediate superiors in the intel shop, this was my first outing with the squadron, and they decided that they needed to teach me how to drink like a Navy man.
Right.
And so we found ourselves at a border bar, and we got torn up on tequila. And so 9/11, the morning of, I'm still legally intoxicated, okay? I consumed some 40 ounces of tequila the night before, so I'm I'm just
That'll
trying to
do it.
metabolize. I'm dying. I'm trying to die as slowly as possible. So I'm eating food. I'm trying to metabolize. I'm smashed. I'm doing the math in my head, and it's not good because I got to fly tonight. You know, and my phone rings, my cell rings, and it's my at the time girlfriend, and she's just yelling in my ear about this, that, and the other, and oh my God, did you see this? Did you see this? And the plane hit the tower, and I think she's talking about a movie preview that she saw. It's fine, we'll see it when I get back, whatever. She goes, no, turn on the TV, look. And there in the restaurant, there was a TV in the corner, and I actually watched the second plane go into the tower in real time, and I told her, I said, okay, I got to go to work, bye.
Yeah.
So here I am, legally intoxicated, and that's an understatement. And I go to my superior's door, and I knock, and I say, hey guys, this happened. And my LPO, which would be an NCOIC for you ground pounders, he was passed out, almost completely naked and laying sideways across the bed.
Wow.
His roommate, my daddy, was passed out and half in the bathroom to their ensuite and half not, just straddling the tile there. Neither of them could even sober up enough to walk through the door. Right? They were so drunk still from the night before that they couldn't make it out the room. They were stumbling off the walls, and they were just like, okay, you got this, Buddha, you got this. So you go tell the old man. I'm like, but I'm not sober. Neither are we. And you have the most recent counterterrorism school experience. So congratulations, you're on deck. So here I am, drunk as a skunk, stumbling down the P-way to my debt OIC's office, his room. Knock on the door. Commander answers the door. I'm like, Commander so-and-so, need to bring you up to speed on a situation. If you could please turn on your TV. He goes, what channel? And I said, honestly, sir, it doesn't matter. And over the course of the next 20 minutes, I went from being a guy who enlisted in the Navy by accident because my life had been in the complete toilet and was just going to do a single tour for the GI Bill and go on and finish college. Just over the course of that next 20 minutes, I became a professional terrorist hunter, and that's what occupied my time for the next 10 years.
Wow, that is a story.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I was in elementary school.
Oh, you're killing me, Smalls.
I know. That makes you sound like an antique.
I was already 20-something in the service.
I think I was in elementary school because I remember going in. Leaving the class, I went to the library for something, and they had a TV on in there. Yeah. Big old, the TVs we had back then. Kids nowadays do not know what those TVs look like.
No.
That makes
the
that makes me feel old.
The tubes.
Yeah.
That hung from
That makes me feel old. And I'm only 34. But and I do remember going in there and they were saying, the tower's on fire, and I did see the plane crash, and it's crazy to witness history. I mean, history of America like that, and so many lives changed after that. Obviously that was a motivation for me to go in. It was the noble thing, and I wanted to fight for my country, and I went that route, and it definitely changed everybody's lives. There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your? I'm gonna get your opinion, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna get your opinion of. Why do you think we went to war after 9/11?
Okay, I think we went to war after 9/11. I remember when the original op boards were coming through the comms lines, and it was called Operation Infinite Justice.
Okay.
I love that name. It didn't test well with polling audiences, so they softened it to Enduring Freedom, something positive instead of destructive.
Right.
I think we had absolutely no choice but to go to war with whoever was responsible for the 9/11 attacks. I think that at that point we had to go to war. We were compelled as a nation to go to war. I think that Going to war with the Taliban, who helped facilitate that, it's a good idea. I think, if anything, I think that our early war efforts were somehow stalled in the rollout phase. I remember that there were a lot of people who didn't want to go to war, including in the ranks. My own commanding officer, Commander Gorman, did not want to go to war. When the orders came across the channel for my squadron to take men and aircraft and report to USS so-and-so to be the tip of the spear for Operation Infinite Justice.
That's a powerful name.
It's a great name.
That's
I love
a powerful
it. And
name.
we're holding it in reserve for next time we have to do something super cool. All right. But I remember I was the duty comms guy that day. We didn't have any 6 code guys at my squadron. So if you were a 2 guy, if you were an intel guy, you just became the comms bunny too. I hand him the orders, and I remember my own CEO getting on the phone with the Air Wing Admiral with Nav Air and saying, yeah, we're not going. And I couldn't believe my ears. But the reason why, he said, when he got off the phone, he gave him some bogus reason of, we're non-mission capable for supply or something like that. And as soon as the Admiral got done yelling at him, he hung up the phone and he looks at me and he says, I know you're wondering what that's all about. He says, I've only got 4 months left until I do my 20. I'm not about to go start a war. I'm not about to go on a combat cruise that's going to take 6 or 8 months. It's going to delay my retirement. And I've already got a cushy job waiting for me at We Build Big Great Things Incorporated. I'm not risking that. So I got to watch, and I got to assist my sister unit, VMU2, load all of my aircraft and parts onto their trucks and drive them to war. And every once in a while, they'd send me video of one of my birds getting crashed, or they'd mail me back a wheel or something from one of my planes that was no longer in service. But I know that at the time, going to war was not a universally embraced idea, but it was definitely the right thing to do. I think looking back 20 years later, we've definitely been in Afghanistan too long. I think we lost our legitimate mission objective a long time ago. And honestly, by May 5th of 2011, I think that we lost all reason to continue the war. I think we'd satisfied all of our mission objectives. So everything since then has really just been moving the goalposts and keeping the machine rolling for whatever reasons. But that's what I think.
Well, hey, we're about to take a break. Y'all stay tuned. Hey, what's up, everybody? Kyle, back on Battle on the Homefront. My good friend Daryl Simmons. We're discussing 9/11, where we were when it happened, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper into some of the other, if you want to call them,
Questions,
concerns, there you go.
Comments, complaints.
Yeah, and a little bit of conspiracy theory that I've heard.
Oh, great. Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. So what is the most craziest theory that you've heard that you do or don't believe?
Okay, so I actually heard someone tell me that we went to war and invaded Iraq so that we could recover, the U.S. military could sweep the sands of Mesopotamia and find somewhere in the Euphrates River Valley this supernatural artifact, this occult artifact, which was actually one of several Illuminati trinkets scattered around the world. This artifact of power, whoever wielded it, their nation could not fail. Yada blah blah blah. It's very Indiana Jones.
That sounds very.
I can assure you. Okay, now folks, listen. I've been at a lot of places. I don't know everything, but I think I know everything that's worth knowing about everything that's worth knowing. And that includes, I've been behind the scenes at some really fun places that our government maintains, including Area 51. And so what I will assure you is, we did not go to Iraq so that we could play Indiana Jones. We just, that wasn't why we
went. Well, the U.S. government actually publicly put out that Iraq had no interest in the 9/11 terrorist attacks.
It's true. It's true-ish. Okay, so Saddam Hussein, who deserved to die, and the world was a better place without him. Okay.
Cool.
Saddam Hussein did funnel some money into the basically it's the Al Qaeda Widows and Orphans Fund. Okay. So there was financing coming from him and from the Ba'athist Party into that. But really, the only reason we needed to go into Iraq, which was perfectly good all by itself, was Saddam Hussein was a brutal dictator who liked to use chemical weapons on his own people.
Yeah, the Kurdish. I fought next to the Kurdish. Amazing.
The
people.
Kurdish, any of the so Saddam was a Sunni communist ruling a Shia land, and he was very oppressive toward the native Shia, despite the fact that they were the majority. Just about he was absolutely brutal to the Kurds.
Yeah,
and we needed to go in and stop that from happening. He used chemical weapons on anybody who politically disagreed with him too loudly. That needed to stop. He was funneling chemical weapons through Iraq into and out of Syria. That would be a bad thing that needed to stop. We intercepted actually some 400,000 pounds of yellow cake.
Oh, really?
From Iraq that he wasn't supposed to have. And whether he was trying to enrich that for a domestic nuclear program or he was just transacting that with other regional partners, the fact remains that Saddam Hussein was a dangerous actor, and taking him out of power was doing the world a favor.
Yeah.
So
have you heard the crazy thing about? Well, I know you had to hear it, and it's out there, but I think it's the Air Force was doing simulations of the attack, the day of the attack.
The day of 9/11?
Yes.
Okay. I've heard that. Now, I wouldn't have any insight into whether that was the case or not. I do know that during the initial moments of 9/11, there was a lot of confusion. There were a lot of people who were waiting for somebody to say this is a drill. And that never got announced. Yeah. I do know, as you do as well, the military constantly trains. I mean, shoot, I was on a training mission when 9/11 happened. Yeah. And because of just where I was located and what I was doing, I actually caught terrorists before 9/15. And we'll just leave it at that. Yeah. So anybody who wants to claim they caught the first terrorist, any of my SEAL brothers, with all due respect to them, especially you know who you are, Admiral McCraven, if you had one in hand after 9/15, I beat you. And if you had one before 9/15, then you win. All right? So, little professional competition goes on.
I like that cough.
Yeah.
That wasn't the Rona, was it?
No Rona. There's always the military trains. It's what we did, you know. You train and you just keep training, and you train. So somebody somewhere had to be training something at that time, and there was probably a lot of confusion as to whether that was part of that exercise or something else.
What do you think about all the white phosphorus that was found, the residue after 9/11?
I don't know anything about how much residue was found. I do know that white phosphorus is a very dangerous and incendiary device. Yeah. I do know that there are a lot of compounds that were used in construction decades ago that aren't used today. Unfortunately, a lot of our...
what would white phosphorus be used for in construction?
I have no idea what it would be used for in construction. Yeah. In that situation, I have a hard time believing that any phosphorus that was in the building would be unburnt. You know, so are you finding a white phosphorus residue?
What's a residue?
After the fact?
I think they were finding a residue. High concentrates of a lot of residue after. But.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not a chemical engineer, so I don't know.
Well, why not, Daryl? Why not?
I decided to waste my education, and this is in the words of the VA.
Yeah.
In the words of the Veterans Administration, I wasted my education by pursuing a liberal arts degree. So instead of a chemical engineering one or learning how to code computers. So wasted it. Learning about political science, law, philosophy, moral philosophy, learning how to be a business ethicist, all of that stuff was a complete waste of taxpayer dollars in the eyes of the VA.
Yeah, I could believe the VA saying that.
Yeah.
We have a lot of issues with our VA. There's no doubt about that.
Yes. So.
But hopefully we're changing that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, one of the things that is true is the 9/11 responder disease.
Horrible.
The
it is horrible.
All the cancers and the respiratory problems and everything from all of the 9/11 responders is absolutely horrible. And if anything, Congress's response to this has been, negligent. In getting them the aid that they need and the support that they need and the treatments that they need, as well as, we're finding a lot of that with current gen vets now coming back from the war and the burn pits and everything that we were exposed to. In a post-COVID world, those sorts of things matter. If you
very much,
my good friend Jaron Jackson, he carries some leftovers from his exposures to burn pit, and I have my parting gifts from the burn pits as well. My good friend Chris Morse, the late Christopher Morse, died last year from cancer that he got from the burn pits in Afghanistan. So that's unfortunately not a conspiracy theory.
No, not at all. No, I know of several people that have passed away from it, and young, studly men, veterans that died of cancer coming home from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, and I advocate a lot about you veterans got to go and register on them burn pits. You got to check, see what they're doing, what time, locations, all that's super important. We have Jaron Jackson on actually next week with Kevin with PTSD, Warhawk. Yeah, Warhawk PTSD service dogs. I'm excited to get him in and talk to him and get his input on that. I know he is a veteran and quite the hero.
Yes,
so,
he's a good guy.
Yeah. But hey, we're going to take a break. Thank y'all for tuning in to Battle on the Homefront TV. What's up, everybody? This is Kyle Early, Battle on the Homefront TV. I'm here with my friend Travis Johnson. Amazing man, currently active duty, Navy. You got so much stuff going on. I read your bio, and it made me want to redo my bio. So, man, thank you for coming.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Kyle.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here. I didn't know you had this whole studio set up and everything.
Yeah,
It's
fancy.
awesome.
We're fancy.
Yeah.
Oh, Chairman David McLean, shout out to him. He lets us use the Oklahoma Republican headquarters, and so we're grateful for that, giving veterans a voice.
Absolutely.
So please give us a little backstory on you, man. You got an impressive bio. I want the people to hear it.
A little backstory? We talking just like the nonprofit stuff and how that got started?
Whatever you want. Let's just shoot from the hip.
We're going to do it memento style. I'm going to give you a little bit,
Do it.
go back, and then we're going to go
Do
back.
it. Come on.
So I started the Nonprofit Architect podcast less than a year ago when I was out deployed in Bahrain, and we hit number 4 on iTunes in December.
Congratulations.
Like 3 months in, thank you. It's completely mind-blowing for me because I never thought I was that kind of guy. Like, could start a podcast, have that thing rolling, and be good. Still coming up in a year, getting ready to do our 50th episode, and we help start nonprofits with those actionable how-to-do things. How do we get those actionable steps to actually go out and achieve your mission and get the money you need and actually not suck at what you're doing, which is fabulous. But back up a couple of years, I got in the nonprofit scene here in Oklahoma. I got published in my first book, Walk with Warriors. You can find it on Amazon by Shannon Whittington, and it was Books by Vets who put that on. And I was like, this is really cool. I love what you're doing. This is exciting. I was like, what do you need? Do you guys need volunteers? Do you need editors? Do you need board members? Like how can I help? And she's like, well, actually, we need board members. So if you would come on and do that, that would be fantastic. And I didn't really know what I was doing, but I figured if you show up and you want to help, that good things are going to happen.
Right.
So I showed up and I helped, and we got the second book out, Resilient Warriors, which is 22 female veterans telling their stories.
Oh, wow.
You want to read some gut-wrenching stories, read Resilient Warriors. I had no idea that the ladies that we served with were going through so many so many awful things during their service. But that led to another board in the Shine Foundation here in Oklahoma City. And through that all, we started half a dozen new nonprofits. We donated about 20 grand of our own money, served about 1,500 plus hours, and helped raise $500,000, all before getting stationed out in Bahrain last year. And I got to Bahrain and I was like, what am I going to do with my time, and how am I going to still impact the community I care about? And that's where the nonprofit started. Mm-hmm. And that's just a lead into the third segment of the story, which is going to go back, like, why would you get into nonprofit work? Well, I grew up, come back from Bahrain, was move number 50, move number 50. Wow. And before high school, those numbers were 36 moves, 12 schools, 6 states, 5 foster homes, survived 2 murder attempts, and got in some serious trouble with the law, all before graduating high school at 17. That's average more than 2 moves per year before I graduated high school. And those are some horrific stories in there. But there was always some person, some group, some organization, some church, some nonprofit willing to help us out, willing to give us food, shelter, clothing, whatever we needed to make it through. And now that I'm in a place where I can do more, it's my personal mission to help the helpers and make sure that they have the resources they need to provide their services to someone like me growing up.
You got a killer comeback story. There's no doubt about it.
Well, it rivals yours, sir.
I got a little one.
Yeah.
I got a little comeback story. One day, I'm gonna let it all loose out here one day for everybody. Yeah. But I love that you're trying to help nonprofits, because I see so many times I get entrepreneurs, especially veteran entrepreneurs, and I love that that struggle with not understanding business. And even more so, I have people reach out with nonprofits, which I don't fully understand, those aspects of nonprofits. I know a little bit to know what I know to choose the direction I went.
Right.
But tell me what the first step for somebody wanting to start a nonprofit, a veteran that has a good outreach, they got a program they want to do that they think is going to be different from what everybody else is doing, because that is important, correct?
Right, absolutely. Well, the first thing to understand with a nonprofit or a business is they're started for the same reason. They're started to solve a problem, whatever the problem is. Anything that was created that we have, like these walls, this green screen, all this stuff was created to solve some problem. So you can't have a business unless you're solving a problem, and you can't have a nonprofit unless you're solving a problem. Whatever that is, it's weighing on your heart, you want to get started, and that's great. The first thing I would ask is that people see who else is doing that in their area. There's a chance that without doing that real research, you might not know that there is another organization or 2 or 5 in your area doing that same thing, or something really close to what you're doing. The cool thing is, organizations like United Way, they'll let you build a program under their umbrella, so you won't have to start a nonprofit. You'll just be a program director helping the thing that you want to help. Right. Or you'll find an existing nonprofit that was looking to go into that direction or that area, so you're coming on board with an established board, an established brand, an established fundraising arena. You have all those things in place. You're not having to do it yourself, which is wonderful. But you might find that the services you want to provide aren't covered, and you really need to have a strategic plan. And people are like, oh, that's business stuff. Well, when you file your nonprofit, you're filing it is a business, as an incorporation. Before you get your 501c3, you are incorporated. Yeah. You have a business, and you have to know how you're going to get to where you're going. Right? If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. You got to lay out your map. You were Army, so you've got the land nav, right? You got your compass out. Unless you have that stuff, you don't know where you're going. You don't know how to get there. Me being in the Navy and flying, which I know it's weird if you guys don't know, Navy flies. We have to know how to get there. We've got our charts and everything we have, our airport plates so we can get in safely and not run into the tree at the end of the runway, all those things. You have to have that plan laid out. You have to know how you're going to get to where you're going before you start anything in this up. The second thing you need is you need a group of people. I'm not talking about your spouse and your father-in-law. I'm not talking about that. Like people that are in some kind of industry. It doesn't really matter what industry, because they've got that business background or that nonprofit background, but they can be found on LinkedIn where professionals live. They could be at your local, pick a club, the Rotary Club, Chamber of Commerce, any of these social clubs that exist, there's people there that already care about helping others. They already care about doing good things. They're there because they're sharing their experience and they're networking on purpose. Those are the kind of people that you want helping you start your nonprofit.
Yeah. What kind of effect has nonprofits? Because you work with a lot of nonprofits. What has it been like with the Rona?
With the Rona?
The Rona.
I tell you what, the people that have a plan in place and that continue to ask with grace, they're doing far better than they did last year or the year before. They might lose the $100, the $200 and below gifts, but they're gaining $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $50,000 gifts because the mission doesn't go away just because coronavirus is affecting things. If you're feeding the homeless, they still have to get fed,
Yes.
whether there's coronavirus or not. And people are still willing to give. In any economy, the economy's up, there's people losing their jobs. If the economy's down, there's people making millions and billions of dollars. Don't let the news scare you into not asking for the help that you need to do to continue your mission. The ones that, the organizations that have a plan for their giving, for their fundraising, have a plan to expand their board, expand their executive director and their knowledge, a regular, like GMT, right? General Military Training.
Yeah.
They have their continuing education training and learning new things. Those people are getting bigger by leaps and bounds. The people that are really struggling, that they don't have a plan, they don't learn on a regular basis, whether it's just listening to a free podcast, and I have one I can recommend.
Check it out. Make sure y'all check that out.
There's so many things you can do, but if you're not dedicated to growing, this is really, really hurting a lot of people.
Yeah, and you got to call for help. And for any of us, when we're under fire, you got to call for help. And in our mission, especially with our brothers and sisters that are doing nonprofits, their hearts are in good places. They want to help. They have this idea. And tell everybody how you can help them achieve that or grow. Or if they're just starting off, they're not getting to where they want to be.
Well, at the Nonprofit Architect, we look at things a lot differently. Okay. My goal is to get you money coming in automatically every month to where you're not busting your hump out there trying to fundraise and meet all these donors and all these things and taking you away from executing your mission. So we do things like trading free t-shirts, free swag for, $10, $20 a month. Wow. That's not going to break the bank. Someone's going to be able to walk around and say Veterans Lives Matter and support a cause.
Yep.
And it's not going to cost them a whole lot of money.
Battle on the Homefront TV. Y'all get them there. Right there.
Battle on the Homefront TV.
Yep.
Absolutely. We get people the Google Ad Grant, and so many startup nonprofits don't know what the Google Ad Grant is. Well, if you get Google for Nonprofits, it uses the whole G Suite and allows you to have at yournonprofit.org as your email. So it can be like Travis@nonprofitarchitect.org, which is great. But then you add the Google Ad Grant on top of that, and that's $10,000 a month for your marketing budget. Google is gracious enough to open up their coffers and let you use up to $10,000 a month worth of free advertising. If they can't find you, they can't support you. If they don't like you, they can't support you. If they don't love you, they're not going to support you. They have to find you, like you, love you before they're going to support you. And if they can't find you, you can't get to that spot, right? So we have an episode that talks about how to get the Google Ad Grant, how to use a company that's going to help you get the donations you need coming in the door to automate that stuff coming in. You can't do anything with a zero budget. So if you have money coming in, then you're then able to plan for that. What am I going to do this month? What am I going to do next month? I can plan that out. If you say, I have all these programs but no money, you're spending the whole month fundraising, which is no good and no fun for anything. The third thing you can do is you can talk to Isaac Belden at 12B Gives, and he does credit card processing. Well, through 12B Gives, he will give someone a competitive rate, and a portion of every swipe then goes towards the nonprofit of your choice. So if you're running a nonprofit and you've got a friend that's got a car dealership or a restaurant, or someone at a local college, they can switch over their credit card processing, put more money in their pockets, more money for them to grow their business each and every month. They have a better rate, so they're saving money there, and then without taking money out of their pockets every month, because Isaac is taking a hit on the processing side, a portion of that goes directly to a nonprofit. Now, I know he's got a guy that does gun sales online, and he makes $750,000 a month in sales.
Come on.
Now, can you imagine if you had a portion of that of every swipe of his online business to go into your pocket every month, how much easier would it be to focus on your actual mission instead of just fundraising?
Right. I love it. Hey, we're about to take a break. More on Battle on the Homefront TV. All right, everybody, we're back on Battle on the Homefront TV here with Travis, talking about nonprofits, problems they face, and startup. But I want to talk about you do Reboot, right?
Yeah, Reboot Combat Recovery.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Please tell me about that. This is the first time I've heard it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So it's a 12-week course. It's for PTSD. It is not AA. It is not a men's group. It's not just a sit around the circle and kumbaya. It is a step-by-step course that takes you through a process. And you don't even talk about your own stuff unless you want to until the very end. And I have seen nothing more effective in person at handling PTSD and all the garbage that we deal with than Reboot Combat Recovery.
And it's a faith-based program, right?
Faith-based program.
I've done some faith-based programs, and they saved my life personally.
Absolutely.
I changed my life after them. I think those are super important in that structure and how they do it. Where do you go up to sign up for that or look into that if people out there want to know about it?
There's people all over the country that are hosting these things. I think the headquarters is out of Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. But you should be able to Google Reboot Combat Recovery. It'll come up and scroll through it, pick your state, pick your region, and it'll have the people to contact that are going to walk you through this program.
Is it a free program or does it cost money?
Free program.
Oh, wow. Because I was going to ask you if the VA paid for it, but you can't get no better than that. VA's not even involved with it now.
The only people paying anything are the facilitators.
That's cool. So it's a nonprofit in a sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
We did some cool things in Oklahoma. We had someone donate some iFly time. So
Oh, that's fun.
we had a trip up to iFly with our group, and then we had Answered Prayers Ranch that gave us some equine therapy time there at the end.
That's
too.
awesome, too.
So our last night where people actually go and share their stories, we were up at the ranch in Guthrie.
They
around a
work with
campfire.
veterans, just veterans? Or?
Well, there was one first responder, there was one police officer.
Well, same thing.
Yeah.
I completely get that for
Yeah.
sure. First responders, obviously they're not combat veterans. They don't deal with that, but this is the battle on the home front, and they're on the home front. There's a battle here, and they definitely go through trauma. So I understand that. I couldn't imagine what an EMT, the trauma that an EMT worker has.
Yeah, EMT and paramedics, they see some
I couldn't
horrifying
imagine.
stuff. They're first on the scene.
Yes.
Someone's mangled in a ditch or
Weekly. I mean, they
Absolutely.
see that stuff
Yeah.
weekly. I can't imagine. I made sure that, when I had my products and I did my branding for that I wanted to make sure that I gave recognition to those EMTs, firefighters, and I had them on my labels because PTSD does not discriminate.
Absolutely
It will
not.
get everybody.
Absolutely.
And trying to give them a natural side of medicine with that. So, man, what else you got going on? I just want to hear everything. Come on.
Well, it depends on when, right? So for 16 years, I ran Warriors Wallet, and we helped 400 families pay off $6 million in debt.
What is that organization or group or?
It's now defunct. It's closed. The doors are closed.
Why did it shut down?
People were trying to force me to push it to be as a business, and I didn't want it to be a business. I was like, I really don't want any of their money.
You had a moral conflict, right?
I just wanted to provide the help. I didn't figure that anyone needing that service could afford to pay anything.
Mm-hmm.
And someone's like, well, if you've helped them pay off $6 million, the service worth paying for. And it's like, you're not wrong, but I'm still not going to charge people
Wow.
to do it. We, as a young couple, we got eyeballs in debt, and we found Dave Ramsey, who helped us pay down our stuff that made sense.
I watched that. My wife makes me watch Dave Ramsey all the time.
He's great. I don't know if I agree with the envelope system, right?
I'm fighting my wife on that right now. I'm serious. I'm fighting my wife
Yeah.
on that big time.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work, the whole envelope thing and every. But
What we did is we had different checkbook registers. Like the money was in the bank account, one account, right? But we had different checkbook registers, and every time the money came in, we would add what we would be putting in an envelope. And so when you go to the grocery store, you have your grocery store check
I
register.
know
and
my
your-
wife is trying to give me envelopes now. I get a hug and a kiss goodbye, and then I get an envelope
Yeah.
with what I can spend that day.
It can work. He does a great job of taking a train wreck and clearing everything off and making a
Yeah.
solid foundation to build upon. He doesn't have, his particular program doesn't have like the advanced stuff, like how to get into investing and some different things. So it really just depends on where you're at, but anyone can do better with less debt and more money in their pocket.
Awesome. What you got to tell me about the books you authored, man. Tell me about them.
Well, I mentioned the first one, right? Walk with Warriors. Shannon Whittington's on the title. It's an anthology. 22 veterans sharing their story, which is fantastic. I also wrote a little car buying guide when I was doing Warriors Wallet. What did I call that thing? It was a comprehensive car buying guide. It really should be retitled. It should be first-time car buyer's guide. I go through all the things that I teach, how to verify prices, what type of car you should buy, and I mean, it's the story of how I saved $30,000 on each of my last 2 trucks that I bought. So I think $63,000 I saved on my last 2 trucks total.
Yeah, I can't beat that.
I mean, no.
Can't beat that. I should have got with you before I went and bought my truck, because I'm upside down in that thing.
Yeah, they'll get you. I mean, the super bare bones of the book is buy a vehicle that's between 2 and 6 years old with less than 60,000 miles, and that's going to be the sweet spot of savings for anybody. Let some other jerk take the hit off the new car.
Yeah, I'll never ever again buy a new car. It is the most pointless thing in the world to go and buy a new vehicle. Don't do it.
I'm driving this GMC Sierra 1500 crew cab. I bought it. It was 2 years old. Had 45,000 miles on it. Brand new. It's 55. I got it for 23.
No.
It's like
I don't even want to tell you what I paid for mine and how upside down I am in and how many miles it had on it when I bought it.
Well, see, that's the problem, right? Because when you start talking about personal finance, everyone takes it personally. Right? We can talk about management styles, we can talk about leadership, I can talk about nonprofits all day long. But if I talk about your nonprofit, that's getting personal, because you made the best decision based on the information you had at the time, and there's nothing wrong with that. The only thing that is wrong is if you refuse to take steps forward in advancing your personal life, getting your finances straight, taking care of your PTSD. Self-care, man, and that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what's crazy is I've talked to several nonprofits, and guys are doing amazing things, and they just, we were talking about it, and even me, I was bringing it up to them too, and we were agreeing on this, that, man, we don't take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
We're trying to save the world, and we're run ragged, and we're being down, and I had to make appointments with the VA, and I was having to go in there and do what I didn't want to do and go talk to people, you know what I mean? But definitely self-care is super important. Eating good, staying away from pharmaceuticals, using natural medicine, exercising, praying, in my opinion. Those are all things that are really important for self-care.
Absolutely. You can't pour from an empty cup.
No.
In the nonprofit world, I call it martyr syndrome. You've got that founder, that leader that wants to go over there, and they have to be the one that does everything. And if they're not in pain, they're not really giving. And it's nonsense. It's garbage. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, anyone that watches professional sports, let's take football, for example, you're doing it as a team. Everyone has their specific job, right? The wide receiver, the tight end's not going to get 1,000 yards rushing. That's the running back's job. But if you've got no one to hand the ball off to, you're going to get creamed by the other team.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, everybody, thank you. This is OKGOP TV. My friend Travis Johnson. We had a great show today. Please plug away, and so you can help people
build stronger nonprofits, right? That's what you're going to
say.
And check out the show, nonprofitarchitect.org. I'm on literally every podcatcher out there. Google, you want Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, everything. I'm on like 30 or 40 different, whatever. Nonprofitarchitect.org. Check out the show, learn something. If it sucks, tell me. Say, hey, Travis, this show sucks. If it's great, drop me a rating. Give me 5 stars and share it with your friends. Reach out. I'm on Facebook.com/nonprofitarchitect. Drop me a line. I'd love to make your acquaintance. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
You're very welcome. Hey, and if you're a veteran, you want to be a veteran business owner, make sure you reach out to me. Let me help you structure your stuff, understand the mistakes that I made. I want to help support you. Thanks for joining us.